Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be discussing Elon Musk by Walter Isaacson. Apparently, to some of you in the comment section, I look like this guy. I don't entirely see it myself, but hey, give the people what they want. So here I am reviewing this biography. Now, a couple prefatory notes before I talk about the book in general. This is the second Musk biography I've read. The first one was very capably done by Ashley Vance, I want to say about a decade ago now. And we now have 10 more years of information about Musk, 10 more years of him building businesses, getting involved with Amber Heard, other people like that. So necessarily we have more information, and so this is more complete than the Ashley Vance biography, but that doesn't mean you wouldn't get value out of reading that. I think Vance's writing style is also good. This is also the second Walter Isaacson biography I've read, the first one being Steve Jobs. And I couldn't help, as I was reading this book, to think about Jobs and how similar he and Musk are. They're very, very similar in the way that they give their entire lives over to their work, whatever that work is. And that's to the detriment of their family, their friends, their employees, their shareholders, everybody. It's all subordinated to their visions, for better or for worse. And so finally, to that point, I would say, as someone who's been a business owner for about 20 years now, one of the things that I think business owners enjoy is the ability to create a universe in which our rules and our theories apply. So many of the great problems of the world, that the great natural problems of the world, think about fictional money or food insecurity, water insecurity, border disputes. They seem to be beyond the reach of us to fix, not just us as an individual people, but even our so-called leaders, the people who we apparently elect. They can't seem to fix these problems either. But in a business, you can do things that you want to. You don't have to wait for the government to fix something for you. So if you want to pay your employees more money, you can. If you want to pay them for their output as opposed to based on an hourly rate, you can. If you want to give people more paid maternity or paternity leave, you can. If you want to periodically let people take a power nap somewhere to recover for a few minutes and then come back to work, they can. If you want to allow people to speak freely in the workplace about things that they deeply believe in, you can. And as someone who's lived in that environment with my employees and shareholders and team members over the years, I know how intoxicating that can be, because it's such a wonderful thing to be able to live and think as to be able to live as you think. And so I understand that when you believe in your vision as much as people like Jobs or Musk do, then it can consume you. However, I don't believe in, let's say, not just in any of my businesses, but anything in the natural order. I don't believe in them as much as Jobs and Musk did. And as wonderful as the things that Musk and Jobs may have done, however we want to categorize that, they're not ultimately things that go beyond this world, right? And this world will pass. And what is waiting for us on the other side of that, eternity, has far more relevance and importance. It doesn't mean that this world doesn't have any relevance and importance, but it means that I couldn't possibly justify an all-encompassing testimony of my life only chasing after natural causes, natural things. Be it great problems to solve, that's not enough of a reason to justify a life, in my view. But getting to know him more in this book, I understand why he thinks of it this way. And in part because I don't think that he really has looked at the supernatural question or looked at the questions of eternity deeply. He's very focused on the here and now, that he uses all of the energy that could be used for questions like that on problems here. So let's talk about those businesses, because obviously that's what a lot of the book deals with. So Tesla, and what would later become Tesla Energy, which was Solar City. So this is a comprehensive idea to remove the use of oil and coal out from our vehicles. However, as we know, all we're doing is transferring the problem forward insofar as there are other ways to generate electricity that don't involve this, whether they be nuclear power or other renewables. I'm one who would classify nuclear as renewable, but that's a different discussion. But ultimately, electric cars are just a different variation on regular cars, right? There's not any saving. Electric cars don't necessarily save us from anything. It's a shiny new fun gadget. I've driven a Tesla. It's beautiful to drive, and the supercharging network makes it much easier to drive than other EVs. But I don't think we're going to be saved by electric cars. Same thing with SpaceX. I'm a science fiction fan. I love watching rockets take off, come back. It's amazing. But I do not see how a planet 1/4 the size of Earth that is uninhabitable by humans is the answer to what Elon says in the book is a civilizational collapse. He sees some sort of collapse pending. I don't see how a ball of dust that's 1/4 the size of Earth is a solution to that. I also don't understand why Elon doesn't see that we're humans, and going to Mars doesn't reset humanity. We don't suddenly become not humans. We're not going to bring our problems to Mars with us. So we're still going to be humans even if we get to Mars. And the idea that we're going to reset and start over on a place that's much smaller than Earth and isn't built for human life is, to me, a crazy idea. I do see the power of setting a big goal so that other goals can be reached, but Mars, to me, is not only an insufficient goal, it's a silly one. Neuralink. So this is using chips to activate. You can use it for people who have paralysis. It can help them have a better quality of life. The medical applications of Neuralink are attractive to me. However, the idea of there being chips in your brain that then can be, I don't know, have software upgrades and have sort of ongoing internet connection is at best disturbing to me because it feels like the Matrix. It feels like leading us down a path that is, even in the natural order, unexciting. Then we have what was formerly known as Twitter, now X. You'll find out in the book what Elon's obsession with X is. It goes all the way back to his PayPal days. I'll let you read more to know more about it. But once again, if I'm looking at what matters, is a free speech platform so important? Well, firstly, I should say I'm very glad that Elon has made his own personal effort to stop the woke mob. That's great. But a free speech so-called platform isn't the answer insofar as free speech isn't a good in and of itself. People have to realize free speech as an idea is a very new idea. Somehow, civilization was built. Mozart wrote his symphonies. The cathedrals were built all without free speech. How did that happen? And it's because prior to the last, couple hundred years, people understood that concepts are inherently unequal. So the idea that people who believe that it's okay to molest children have the right to speak because, quote unquote, free speech is a crazy idea. We as humans and governments should have a mandate and a desire to stop erroneous speech from being spread and polluting people, right? So there should be censorship for speech because not all ideas are equal. The idea, as I say, I just gave one example of it, but the idea that all speech is equal is a crazy idea. It's only one that has come to exist in recent times. And I would point out to people, how's that been working out for you? The idea that all speech is equal. We also have the AI platform that Elon recently founded towards the end of this book chronologically. I'm a bit torn here insofar as I do believe in autonomous driving. I like the idea of more time, what could be to read books, or to have conversations with friends, to sleep, that there is a great pleasure in driving. I don't want to deny people the pleasure of driving if they love to drive. But for others who if it's a long trip, they'd rather just not drive and sit and have a robot do the driving for them. I love that idea. And I know just from reading parts of this book how difficult the problem of autonomous driving is, not just technologically for an individual vehicle, but the infrastructure required within a given country and within the globe overall. So I would point out that there is, if you have a use case for your AI, I can understand pursuing it. So, for example, in the case of autonomous driving, that makes sense to me. But AI for AI's sake, as we have experienced recently, this craze that's going on, this only for me pushes back to the question of humanity grabbing the idea of progress, but they don't even know where they're going and why they're going there. Same thing for his Optimus project, which is helping to create humanoid robots that can help with certain things. And again, I can see that application being somewhat useful. As long as there's an end to what you're doing, as opposed to just chasing progress for progress's sake, I can see some importance to that. If you've read reviews of the book, what I find funny is that some people don't like the book, quote unquote. They gave bad reviews because they didn't like Elon. But that's stupid. The question isn't, do you like this person or not? The question is, did the writer do the job or not? And for me, Isaacson definitely did a creditable job. He doesn't lionize Musk at all. In fact, I'm left seeing a tortured soul who's always pushing himself beyond his limits, having numerous health breakdowns, almost dying on at least one occasion. Now, he's 53, I think, or so at the time of not only of this review, but at the time of this book finishing. This book came out in 2023. So I think there's still probably more chapters of the Musk story to unfold in front of us. And who knows? Who knows what will come? But if you want to know more about one of the more visible people who are involved in, you could say, running the world or influencing the world, remember that the most powerful people running the world are unknown to us. We don't know who they are. We don't know where they live. We don't even know what they look like. And that's on purpose. Musk is one of the people who are allowed to be visible. But that said, it's worth getting to know what makes him tick. If only it will help you think about what makes you tick. How do your motivations, how do your actions line up with someone like Musk, who has only increased the power to make true his visions and his realities? And I suppose that's one very positive example I would take away from positive idea that I would take away from the book, and that I would leave you with, is if most of us applied ourselves to only one goal in our lives, to one goal in our lives that we really believe in the way that Elon applies himself to everything in his life, I think our world would probably be a better place in the natural order. And that would give us the time and space to ask the real questions about life and about eternity, which I think is what ultimately matters. Not this world, not this life. So if you want to see some of the quotes from the book, I normally read quotes from the book, but there's just too much to talk about conceptually this time for me to do that. So I linked to my Goodreads review, which basically has all of those quotes, including page numbers, so you can reference them. As always, if you liked the review, please hit like, hit subscribe, share this with people who are enthusiasts of Elon, people who you think you might who might like to know more about him via a review like this, or who just would benefit from Book Review Channel. Remember, that's how the channel can grow. If you'd like to do more than liking and subscribing, please feel free to join my Patreon or become a member here on YouTube. You'll get early releases of these videos, and you'll also have a chance to request books that can then move up the line in review order. At least one of the members recently this week asked for a book, which I already had on my list, which I've now moved to the top to accommodate that request. You can also buy a book from my Amazon wish list and get that added to the pile for me to review as well. I wanted to remind everybody watching that all my reviews in 2024, one way or another, a portion of the Patreon, YouTube memberships, YouTube ad revenue is going to go to the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund, which provides free medical care to thousands of injured children who couldn't otherwise get medical care locally. So I encourage you to consider supporting in those ways, in part to benefit that, or consider donating to the fund directly yourself. As always, enjoy your reading.